Right, 28 March 2021, and today I've got a special broadcast because there is a very, very dangerous situation developing in Mozambique since last week, and this situation is of interest to us, Zimbabweans and South Africans, because this is happening just across the border, and we're talking here about within 1,000 kilometers of Zimbabwe and of South Africa. So Zimbabwe this week, they moved their deputy defense minister, Victor Matemadanda, to be the ambassador to Mozambique. And to many people, this looked like a factional fight in ZANU-PF. But to me, the movement of Victor Matemadanda to Mozambique was actually a military action. And I think this is how the people that are in Mozambique, the terrorists and other people who are fighting there, this is how they'll be looking at that move. Victor Matemadanda's move to Mozambique, it shows that Zimbabwe is taking the situation in Mozambique very, very seriously. And they need someone with military experience on the ground in Mozambique. And this conflict is just going to worsen. What happened last week and what is being reported today is scary. And I want to show you what has been reported today in South African press. Over 100 foreigners are feared dead or missing in Mozambique. They were holed up in a hotel called Palma Hotel, and there were about 200 of them stuck in there. The terrorists came and took over last week. They started to kill people on the streets, and the foreigners were obviously protected inside the hotel. Then they attempted to escape in a 17-vehicle convoy. And unfortunately, what happened is that they got attacked as they were moving. So that convoy of 17 vehicles was attacked, and 10 of those vehicles did not make it. So out of those 17 vehicles, only 7 vehicles made it. Some people died. We've got confirmation. And if you saw today's, this is the Sunday Times. I hope that you're seeing this. If you look at this paper, if you're able to buy this paper in your country, you'll be able to see that they are reporting here that a South African was killed. And this is one confirmed guy who was killed. And he was with his family. So his father and his brother, he's called Adrian Nell. So him and his brother, they were working together in that area. They were a part of those 200 people who were there. He was shot. The brother and the father managed to get the body, and they were hiding in the bush. What the terrorists have done is they have cut off all the cell phone towers. So you cannot communicate out of Palma. And they have also tried to attack the beaches. So the small company that is running this defense there, I think it's called Dyke Advisory Group, has been unable to contain this fighting. I said this sometime back last year, and also when we talked to Mr. Matapo, he mentioned that there is need for Southern Africa, SADC, to come in a serious way to fight these insurgents. They are getting much more powerful. Their strategy is improving. And I would not be surprised if they're getting logistical and strategic support from a country or from people within a country like South Africa. Because what they've done now, they've locked up all the foreigners. They've actually thrown them out, and the projects are failing to work. They're failing to kick off. And very soon, you remember I gave the example of Sudan, Southern Sudan, where SAB was forced to abandon $1 billion project. Where they just left it. If you go there now, it's in the bush. There's nothing happening there. That could be the case in Mozambique. But let me not talk too much. Let's go through this newspaper and let's see what they say here, if there's anything that I've left out. So I think I've covered most of what this newspaper is saying. The attack was last week, and half of those people are missing. Out of those 200, they're all missing. And this is in the Sunday Times of today. There's also the story of a mother there that is asking, that is saying that the South African army was not doing enough to assist the people that are there. And I think there is a big problem. The South African army has got the navy, but somehow these guys are passing through and getting to the beaches. How are they passing through? Do we have enough ships from the South African side who are patrolling that coast line? And also, remember what I just said, strategically, who is providing these guys with this support that is enabling them to bypass a powerful military force like South Africa and taking over a small city like Palma, which has got 75,000 people? How are they able to do it without the support of someone quite big? And going to support, you will remember that there has been vast discoveries of mineral wealth in Mozambique. Last year, in fact, in the past 3 years, there were offshore oil discoveries amounting to over $50 billion offshore in Mozambique. There was also this gas discoveries, and this is also partly fueling this conflict. But let's go to the last newspaper that I want you to, where I want to get information. And I want to go to a specific point in this particular newspaper. It's enca.com news. You can go to Mozambique attack survivors evacuated. So what this newspaper is saying is that some residents of the town of around 75,000 fled to the peninsula. So they fled from Palma and they went to Afungi Peninsula. This is a heavily guarded island or peninsula at the border of Tanzania. And this is where I suspect the Zimbabweans, the Malawans, and the South Africans and the Tanzanians, they could be having a presence there because they've been guarding these projects, but they've left the villages, they've left the towns unprotected. So 75,000 have fled the town to the peninsula. So Afungi is now a big refugee camp, and this is home to a multi-billion-dollar gas project being built by France Total and other energy companies. A boat left Afungi yesterday at about 1800 and is heading for Pemba. About 1,400 people are on board, according to the source close to rescue operation. What this means is that 1,400 people were now camping at this gas project or at this oil project to escape from the terrorist attacks. As I said, women and children, these terrorists, when they got into Palma, they were just shooting anyone they saw. They did not. I've got video of this whole thing from people in the area, and it's not looking good at all. So let us look at the issue of cutting of telephone lines. What they've done is they've cut off telephone communications. People can only communicate through satellite phones. And there are people still in lodges. There are a lot of lodges around that area on the coastline. There are a lot of people that are stuck in there. And since 2017, over 700,000 people have fled their homes. The violence has left 2,600 people dead, half of them civilians, according to the US-based data collecting agency, Armed Conflict Location and Event Data. So that is ACLED, if you want to get more detail. And Deoma Vinga, he made a comment on this post, and he said a rescue operation is currently underway. An unknown number of people have died as they tried to flee Amarula Hotel, which is the number I just said to you, about 100 people feared dead. The ones that are not dead, especially the women, they have taken them. They are now abducting women. We reported this last year, that these terrorists have changed their tactics. They've started to abduct women and children, especially the women though. So let me go in to my conclusion, and let us look at the implications here for Southern Africa. If something is not done, we have a very, very serious situation in our hands. The question is, why is Southern Africa not doing enough? And I think Mr. Matapo mentioned this last time. He said the issue of funding, who is going to fund this operation, it's a big issue. And then I want to go to Batison Makara. He's saying, Unonyeba Gambakwe, I am in Mozambique. Batson, you are the one, Arukunyeba. You are not in Mozambique, because what I'm telling you is being reported all over, and I've got people on the ground. So I don't know where you are. So you must give us a bit more detail, then we'll believe you. And I want to also look at John here. John is saying, I know the area, I went there in 2001. And then the Zimbabwe army should go and fight against the rebels rather than protecting ZANU-PF and oppressing innocent Zimbabwean people. I think, guys, you are not understanding the significance of this thing. This is a very, very serious issue. This is not about ZANU-PF and MDC or whatever. This is something that can come knocking at your door, and it will come in a way that you do not expect. I gave you the example of Zimbabwe moving their deputy defense minister to the embassy there in Beira. Don't be surprised if the terrorists decide to go and attack your embassy, or they decide to come and attack targets in your country. These are not normal people that we're dealing with here. We're dealing with very, very dangerous people that are not afraid to kill you. So the soldiers that you know, the Zimbabwean soldiers, they're your friends when it comes to these guys. These guys are very, very dangerous. They are not playing. They are going to deal with anyone who stands in their way. And that's Victor Matemadanda there. He was moved this week to Beira to be the ambassador there. And I think this is linked to that escalating situation in that country, which is also threatening all the Southern African countries, because we're all so close together. And I want to go back to what I was saying, the mineral wealth. So we said, firstly, Southern Africa is failing to deal with this situation because these are private companies here who are running these projects. So how do you go in and use state funds to protect a private project? Is there not supposed to be a budget from these companies that are in there to protect the areas where they are going to be operating from? I think this is an issue here. This is a bone of contention. Who is supposed to fund this war? And the moment that we have minerals being discovered in Africa, it ends up causing all this conflict, displacing all these people. And it brings a lot of very, very bad guys. We also have the weak military there in Mozambique. We have the weak response from SADC and also international countries like the United States. The ISIS that you're fighting in Syria, in Iraq, in all these other countries is the same ISIS that is in Mozambique. So why handle these guys with kid gloves when they're in Africa and not do what is done in other countries? We need a proper response to this situation that is there in Mozambique. This is not a joke. I saw a video of children running in the streets of Palma, escaping from these guys. It's not neat. When they go to a house and they find kids in that house, they shoot the kids. They don't wait or hesitate. I've seen horrific videos of these things that these guys are doing in there in Mozambique. And this is not a joke. This is a very, very serious situation. South Africa has got a big military and they could do something, but at the moment they've not been doing anything. Right, let's look at the last comment. That place is the former Frelimo camp when there was a war with the Portuguese colonials in the middle of Tanzania, Malawi, Zambia. So I fear for the ordinary people. The ordinary people have had to leave, and most of them have been killed. There's also the issue of the drugs. The drug lords have gone in there They're using this area as a staging area for sending their drugs all over Africa and to other countries. And I want us to end here because obviously I'm not a military expert. I normally talk to Mr. Matapo about such things. When he's here, when he's back, we'll be able to talk and we go a bit deeper into the strategy. Remember the strategy that Mr. Matapo had suggested was that there was supposed to be a quick and swift move into Mozambique by all SADC. He suggested this over, I think it's over 9 months ago. There was no move. How are military strategists there in SADC? What are they thinking? What are they doing? And can we not get money? How much money is required to send in a proper response and attack these 200 or 300 people and get them out of the way? Unlike what they're doing now, they're just being let to run around and do whatever they want, causing so much economic and human damage. The death that they're causing it's a shame. It's shameful what is happening in Mozambique. I was in Mozambique last year, and that's a beautiful country. What they're doing in Beira, it's amazing. If you go to Beira now, it's like you are in a different country altogether. The development is taking place, things are picking up. But in these remote areas of Mozambique, that country is massive. It needs proper protection. It needs proper funding. We do not want terrorism in this Southern Africa region. It's a peaceful and stable area, and we want to keep it this way. But SADC totally letting down the region with their response. I'm sure countries or a region like ECOWAS would have dealt with this problem very, very swiftly. I know they have the similar problem. But imagine if these guys are at the top of Africa and they're at the bottom of Africa, they're going to squeeze all of us in there and we'll be in a lot of trouble. Right. Bright, I'm going to try to get hold of Mr. Matapo. As I said, it's been months since I got hold of Mr. Matapo. And if I get hold of him, I am going to bring him here so that we can deal with this issue in a military way. Or if we get our guys, I've got a few guys in Mozambique. If we get someone who can talk, the problem is you can't also talk now because the networks are down. We could have brought someone from Mozambique to talk to us and say what is happening over there. Right, I think we've covered this story. We've done it enough justice. Check it out on all the other international channels. I'll be back later if I manage to get my guests. I've had a problem getting some of my guests that I was really anticipating to get. So I am very sorry that we didn't get the surprise guest we were supposed to get from overseas. She disappeared on us, unfortunately, and I hope that I'll be able to convince her to come very, very soon. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to get in touch with me, that is my number there that you can use to WhatsApp me, and we can talk further. Unfortunately, I can't forward any videos of what is happening in Mozambique. Very, very gruesome stuff. And I hope that this thing gets cleared as soon as possible. But strategically, these guys are winning. Killing your 100 of people is a very, very big sign of show of force. Especially they just went away. And then they came back and hit hard, killing so many people. And for example, this guy who died, he's a South African who was building houses in this area. He's a father of 3. He passed away because Southern Africa as a region, very, very weak in terms of response. We thought it was just when it comes to political issues. But we're seeing that in terms of military, SADC is proving to be a very, very weak responder. And this needs to be sorted. Someone needs to take charge of this situation because it's a regional concern. Thank you very much for watching. And if I manage to come back, I'll be able to talk to you at 9 p.m. But if not, we'll be back tomorrow when we talk to Mr. Tinashe Jonasi on his Monday slot. So every Monday, we talk to Mr. Jonasi. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you again very, very soon.